Hello, I'm Notes, and I love a good album. Now what I mean by that is I love a good album as a whole, as a complete thing. A good album for me is more than just a bunch of random songs that I've just bundled together. So the form of albums that we see today are predominantly LPs, the long plays. For simplicity's sake, let's just say that LPs and albums for me are the same thing. I know that they're generally not, and that LPs are generally just with vinyl, but for me, the album and the LP definitely mean the same thing in that it is a longer stream of music that is bundled together. So generally, we have the single, the individual song that came out on an album or that the artist has just released. The next step from that would probably be an EP or extended play. This is generally released either after or before an album to give a sample of the recordings that were taking place there or demos that would be put together. These are generally not considered albums or LPs. So why am I talking about this? Why am I making this distinction between the singles, the LPs, and the EPs? Mainly because Haken has released an EP called Restoration. Now many bands have done this in the past where they will release an EP instead of a full-length album. Why Haken did it with Restoration, I'm still not quite sure. If it was just to get the creative juices flowing, if it was just to kind of put out some songs that they've had on the shelf for a while. Oddly enough, had they released this back in the 60s or 70s, it has enough material to constitute a full-length LP album. A lot of albums that were released in this time period are the same length. So it's interesting that they put the label of EP on this. Now it does make sense. There are only 3 songs on it, and one of those songs was the first song from their original EP, Enter the Fifth Dimension. Now Haken is one of my favorite progressive rock bands of this decade. They are masters in blending that really hard, really technical side with a very soft, very melodic side. In my mind, Haken has yet to do any wrong. All 3 of their albums have been masterpieces in their own rights. Now, I understand why they released this as an EP because it does feel like a work in progress. And this is mirrored with the album cover art itself. You know, each song is almost making the other song, making little notes, showcasing where it could be fixed, that type of thing. In fact, the first song, The Darkest Light, is a retelling of the first song these guys have ever released of that first EP, Enter the Fifth Dimension. So let's just look at Restoration then. And normally I wouldn't go song by song on an album, instead just talking about the overall feel, but because there's only 3 songs on here, and because they showcase exactly what the band is capable of, I really feel that it warrants to go through each song and show how it really showcases what this band has to offer you. The band kind of took Blind from Enter the Fifth Dimension and polished it off. So the original song, Blind, was almost 12 minutes long, and they have been able to polish it down and really bring it to light with, as odd as it is titled, The Darkest Light. So a lot of those fun aspects of the song from Blind have been kind of stripped away so that the technical side of Haken can really shine through. And that's what this song does for me. It showcases their tight playing, their bang on the beats, perfect symmetry of all the instruments playing together. And the vocals are just so smooth, and it's woven between just that really pounding beats. So it really showcases their technical side of really being able to pound out a good 6-minute long song of just pure metal progressive rock, and it does it perfectly. So if the first song showed their ability to technically play, the second song, Earthlings, shows their ability to really take their time. So Earthlings really shows their songwriting abilities, and they're able to just take it down that notch every once in a while. You know, I always like to think that a good metal band is only as good as one of their softer songs. This is one of the reasons why I love bands such as Opeth and Dream Theater, is even though they can be dark and they can be just hitting you in the face with all those technical sides, they're also able to bring it down and to showcase a lighter side. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're less dark. That just means that they're able to play a wider range of music. You know, and I don't expect like a love ballad or anything, because who on earth can see Meshuggah or Mastodon playing a love ballad? I'm just saying that songs from, say, Burden from Opeth or Surrounded by Dream Theater, those bands showcase the ability of these guys as musicians and their range of music. You know, and it also shows that Haken is still able to move you. And this song definitely moves me. It showcases their ability that, you know, the songs such as Sun did, or Deathless, or even half the songs from Mountain. Many times these metal bands, with their slower songs, you know, they can find it quite boring, and rightly so. But this is still able to hold your attention even during those slower parts. And still, the vocals are as smooth as glass. And that's one of the reasons why I love Haken, is the ability not only to harmonize with himself, but just to showcase his voice on his own. And finally, we come to Crystallized. Probably why they released this album. The big epic song, the 19-minute song on here. We know that Haken is no stranger to the long songs, and on each album they have that long song. You've got Celestial Elixir, you've got Visions, you've got Falling Back to Earth. They are able to craft a perfect epic song, and this really is no exception. It's their ability to blend those two sides of themselves, the light and the dark, perfectly in these longer orchestrations. You have the framework. They take the time to develop a good song. So we have their ability to be a prog band, shown through the first song. We have their ability to be more of like a softer orchestration song, such as the second song. That Crystallized song shows their ability to be a straight up progressive band. And this is part of the reason why they are on the forefront of being this decade's best band in terms of progressive rock and progressive metal. You know, it's their ability to capture the spirit of prog and still modernizing it in today's climate without just rehashing that same old stuff that we've seen time and time again. Now, I've made reference to Dream Theater and Gentle Giant. I've read many reviews of people criticizing Haken for being a Dream Theater clone, or stealing too much from Gentle Giant and the classic progressive rock movement. And although I can hear those influences, I can't really say that they are just another clone band. And I think this EP proves that, and I want to say this is almost part of the reason why they decided to release this as an EP as opposed to a full-length album, because each song really represents another aspect of this band. So the overall feel of this album, even though it is an EP, it still feels like a full-length album. You know, you have the start, the middle, and the end, and each one does exactly what they need to be. If you haven't heard of Haken, I would definitely suggest starting here as your starting point. It introduces you to the concepts that the band routinely does. Really, what more could you ask for than a perfectly tight technical song followed up by a very smooth building song, and then wrapped all together with that masterpiece of the epic song of Crystallized. This is a perfect album to get into and just kind of see what a band is capable of. And I can't wait to hear what Haken has in store for their fourth full-length album that they're already working on. And that's it. All right, notes out.